Oh, here we go.
Hey, there they are. Bonjour, John and Christine. Harold off there. Off on the side of the
Can you see three heads?
Yeah.
Mario, can you see three heads?
Yes, you can see John's
Finally.
head, Christine, and
I can
a
see three
little
heads.
slice of Harold's shoulder. Yes.
We'll move closer.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll move closer to Christine Archie. Okay. Oh,
I think
can you
that
see us?
wonderful. So you know this lady here on my right, probably.
Yes.
I think I've seen her before.
Right.
Okay. This on my left is Lynn Ashworth, and she is the co-founder.
Right, you met Lynn. You talked to Lynn on the email, right? Yes.
Then we have
Happy to
Linda.
meet you.
Then we have Linda.
Linda's on here, right?
And
And
then we
Sonia?
have Sonia here.
Right.
That is off. She's off camera.
Right.
I saw Sonia's name on the mails too. Can we start with Harold doing a very quickie review of what we are and what we do?
Okay. Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
They read.
I'm the youngest and most recent member here, but here's the history of SOS Paris. It was created in 1973, and at that time there were two big threats to Paris heritage. It was the construction of highways along the banks of the Seine and the destruction of the Marais, which had begun. The first destruction you may be aware of is the Cité Internationale des Arts, which has produced many great musicians, even though it's a horrible building, and the construction of an annex of the City Hall in the Marais as well.
Okay.
But after that, the combined efforts of various associations, not just SOS Paris, there was also Paris Historique, who really focused on the Marais, and SOS Paris that went far beyond the Marais. This movement continued until, my gosh, through the 80s, and in that period, let's say the Austerlitz station essentially was saved from complete demolition. Generally, always SOS Paris had fellow travelers in all its mobilizations, and in those days, people came out in greater numbers than today, including members who would chain themselves to trees to avoid them getting cut down.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving to today, we produce a quarterly, or what would it be? Yeah, bulletin. And that bulletin is rather well known, and it's a sort of the standard for historic preservation in the press and also among local elected officials and anyone else interested in the matter, and also city planners. They know what we write, and it generally annoys them. So, what else do we do? Well, we've held several big meetings of our own to publicize Ugly Paris. We wait till a member has a book or something, and then we group around them. That was the case with Corinne Labalme, who did an article called Ugly Paris, which had a large reaction. We sometimes show up in the street in front of the incriminated areas to avoid a construction, because we are as interested in avoiding construction as to avoiding destruction. That's our new thing, avoiding the ring of high-rise buildings. And in a more institutional way, and I'll end on that, we go to most of the municipal events like inquiry commissions and consultations for local development. And we generally get a member in there, and we generally say something, and it generally gives heartburn to whoever's holding the show, and they try to forget about us. But we keep coming back. And and once in a while we slap them with a nice fat lawsuit, and that they really hate, because sometimes they lose, or they lose in the first circuit, and then it goes in appeal, and then they win, but it made them look bad. So one of the main, and I'll end on this, the main institution in Paris where we have our man is the Commission du Vieux Paris, okay, the Commission for Historic Paris, which actually goes through a list of buildings where they say, we save it, we wreck it, we save it, we wreck it. And the president of our organization is a member of that. And so we have a very intimate knowledge of what's being prepared. So I think with that, I can stop and leave the floor to my colleagues and come back at any time.
May I say one thing before Christine starts? For any of these subjects, we have scores of photos and documents. So if any member of the media wants to dig into it, we're there to help them with that. And of course, what Harold just told you, we also is included in the PowerPoint, which I sent to Mark. Okay, now Christine, go ahead.
Okay, so I will ask you to excuse my English.
Nonsense.
Excellent, Christine.
Pas si
mal. Right.
Merci.
Okay.
So, Paris, I wanted to talk about the comeback of skyscrapers in Paris. So you may know the skyline of Paris is low. Les toits de Paris are known worldwide and have been proposed to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The rooftops.
Yeah.
We also submitted it for the watch list of World Monument Fund.
As Mary remembers.
Yeah.
Oh, do I? Do we remember that? Yes. Right.
So, but Anne Hidalgo, our new mayor, wants to reinvent Paris into a futurist city with skyscrapers showing how modern this city can be. Paris had already undertaken such a madness in the 50s with La Tour Montparnasse.
70s.
70s, sorry. 210 meters high, known to be the ugliest and most hated skyscraper in Europe, but also the 13th and 15th quarters, where very tall buildings are. So the La Tour Montparnasse is in the 14th arrondissement, right in the middle of Paris, and can be visible from anywhere and miles around. Yes.
Just so you know, the Tour Montparnasse is on the site of the old train station, which was a pure forged iron masterpiece, a classic, which was
They just tore it down.
And the people were promised that everything would stay the same after the railroad station was built, but of course everything was destroyed. So there's nothing, not the same things there. Yes, the usual story. But Christine.
And at this time it was supposed to be a very dynamic arrondissement quarter and very attractive for enterprises, and it didn't work. Of course, the quarter is very lively.
It's not lively at all. It's,
yes. Montparnasse is still lively, but despite of this
part of
Montparnasse Tower and those buildings, big buildings. So the public reaction and protestation were so strong in the 70s that height limits were placed in 1977 by President Giscard d'Estaing. Skyscrapers were forbidden in Paris and could only be built in La Défense, west of Paris, a very wise decision. But in 2004, the new mayor of Paris did a poll or a consultation asking Parisians whether they would accept towers in Paris. And 62% said no. In spite of this, in 2008, the height limits were overturned in a landmark vote at the Paris City Council. The idea behind it is that Paris is engaged in a competition with other world's capitals and has to attract companies and investors with very tall buildings. An assumption we don't believe in, of course, because we learned from the past. This very big revolution of the skyline was made without any public or expert consultation and was never discussed. The Paris Council vote chose 6 sites at the inside border of Paris, and mainly 3 of them are we had to fight with.
Yeah.
Since then, many associations are mobilized, but they couldn't stop the construction in the northwest of Paris of the TGI, the High Court, in a very nice neighborhood called Les Batignolles, an Haussmannian quarter, very, very nice. The TGI used to be located in the ancient Ile de la Cité, where it could very well have remained. But as it was a state project and decision, we couldn't. We tried to fight, but it was very difficult. Associations like ourselves had to fight at the same time against this TGI. 160 meters high, but also Tour du Haut, twin towers, said twisting around each other, 100 meters high and 140 meters too for the second one. But my husband says it's like twin towers falling down, and it's a very bad symbol for Paris.
Right.
He has a point, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
The point of the 2 buildings is that they're constructed in a broken style, so it looks like they're being destroyed. They're smashed in this way.
Right.
I think it's a bit of a sick
This is
symbol.
to make Paris innovative. Have buildings that look like they're falling down. That is something new. That's great.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
We saw those ones falling down,
But
and I didn't think it was new.
how major fight is La Tour Triangle, the triangle tower, a flat pyramid 180 meters high, and 228 meters long.
It's 48
30
stories, Christine, right?
meters
48 stories,
large.
roughly?
Sorry?
Between 40 and 48 stories tall. 40 to 48 stories tall. The tour
40, 48
triangle.
étages.
Right.
Oui.
Oui?
Yeah.
Complete
Yes.
étage.
Yes.
That's right.
The Triangle Tower is an unfurnished office project located in the 15th arrondissement, near Paris Ring Road, périphérique, et in le parc des expositions de la Porte de Versailles, which which it considers is the place where innovations are shown, and we think that it is the way to destroy this fact. We joined a collectif called Collectif contre la Tour Triangle. Je sais pas comment on dit collectif.
No.
Against
I think it's a collective coalition. Yeah.
coalition against Triangle Tower, and we tried to do lobbying in the Paris City Council, and we almost succeeded because the council voted no to the project in the 17th of November.
Last year.
Yes, no, in 14.
2004. I'm sorry.
2014. But another new, false new project was settled by Anne Hidalgo, the mayor, and was voted yes. But since then, we had public inquiries, and the last one was finished in October, and many people wanted to express their refusal, and we reached 815 contribution, which is enormous and never have been
Never happened.
Never happened before. No.
And we are waiting for the conclusions of the public inquiry. And we also are having
court action. Yeah.
Court actions, and we are waiting for this. I wanted to finish with the lessons of the past are not learned, and to talk about delight, the harmony. We always talk about functional architecture and never say anything about pleasure and delight, to be caressé.
To be caressed. Yeah, well, caressed. Yeah. To feel comfortable and be la carezza.
Which is very important, I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine.
Well done. Thank you.
Well, the next one up is Le Serre d'Auteuil. A serre is a greenhouse. And Le Serre d'Auteuil is an absolutely marvelous botanical garden filled with all kinds of very rare trees and plants. It has been designed in the 19th century by a certain Jean-Camille Formiger, an architect who was as well known as Gustave Eiffel or Victor Baltard. So he's a really top-notch architect who built these things. They are a historic monument. They are also carrying the label of a remarkable garden, so they are doubly protected. The French Tennis Federation, FFT, wants to build a court right inside this garden, in the perimeter of the garden, for the Roland Garros tournament. You've heard about that. It's one of the big four, the Grand Slam. Since 2011, is that right, Christine? We oppose this project along with 4 other local and national associations. Two battles are going on. One, to protect the monument itself and just forbid anybody to build anything. And secondly, to protect the intellectual property of the inheritors of its creator, who is still alive. There's 4 or 5 people who are the inheritors, and the law of intellectual property is imprescriptible, which means it's never, there's a name for that in English. It's never, it goes on forever. There's no date to stop it.
Never expire, yeah.
Yeah. So there have been many judgments over the years in our favor, and as many against us. As recently as October 3, the State Council voted for the Federation in the battle one, so to build anything. So they could continue the destruction and continue to cut down trees. I don't know how many they have already cut down, but it's a magnificent garden. It is just disappearing under our eyes as the battle goes on. And, they don't give a damn about what the judge said. As soon as one judge said, go on, they come with the bulldozers the next hour, not the next week.
And weekend.
Doesn't that remind you of Donald Trump?
It's just like
Yes.
Robert Moses, right?
Yes.
Or Donald Trump. Yes, exactly so.
So next Monday there will be another audience, and November 3, another one which will judge the heart of the matter. Juger le fond, they say in French. It's really, what is the basic crunch? It's a really devilish game of tennis. The ball goes here, it goes there, it comes back. The Culture Ministry, whose role should be to defend our heritage, has done nothing to stop the project. It has even been an active accomplice. Not only do they look the other way, they just say, no, it's okay. And the State Council, I remember hearing the guy saying more or less like, it's not too bad if you nibble at an historic monument, as long as you nibble in little bits. That's exactly what he said. Incredible. So we made a very ironic press release, we meaning the 5 associations defending the garden, and just saying that, apparently you can destruct historic monuments in France, just do it little bit by bit. Several alternatives have been proposed, but never they were seriously considered. Recently, a new alternative was added, and in fact, what it does is not destruct one court and build the other one in the garden, but cover the classical courts, cover 3 of them, so that you don't have to worry having so many courts. This is under consideration and it carries our approval. I'm just hoping that the judge will also look at it. Very recent development, this. A petition to oppose the project collected over 80,000 signatures and collected 40,000 euros in donations. So we could pay the lawyers with that, because as soon as you smile at them, the counter is ticking. You know that. The Environment Minister, Ségolène Royal, said she wouldn't sign the building permit, but she was overruled by the Prime Minister, Raphael Valls. Like for so many projects, City Hall votes for prestigious private projects, the PPP, prestigious private projects. The private interest and the high finance always carry more weight than us poor people who want to protect the heritage. We feel this should be brought to the European courts, since similar problems exist elsewhere in Europe, and the government just isn't listening. And if we can bring the European court to at least listen to us, that would, and it's also something which is related to the human rights, because heritage is part of the human, what we have all inherited. The human race has inherited from the people who have preceded us, and destroying that is affecting a basic human right. I think we try to bring this thesis in front of the European Court. We haven't done it yet, but we hope they will listen. That's about what I wanted.
If we are not ruined before.
If we're not ruined before, because the lawyers.
I have a question about that. I'm always looking for success stories. And so far as I know, the greatest success story recently in Europe was St. Petersburg, which defeated the Gazprom Tower. And Olga Dobryanskaya, Olga wrote about that for the SOS Paris and our book, Opposing the Skyscrapers. And what she mentioned was that they had brought a case in the European court alleging violation of human rights. So that seems, at least so far as Olga knew, to have been a successful ploy, a successful route in St. Petersburg. Have you been thinking about that, or does that seem not applicable to you?
I couldn't hear everything you say. Are you talking about the case in St. Petersburg
Yes.
with Olga Dobryanska, so avidly defended? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. I mean,
We are running awfully late, and
Yeah.
if there's time, Harold can touch on a third subject. Maybe there isn't time, then just tell us.
no, the point is that we have to run ourselves because we have the street arts events that are starting to start in New York. Actually, they start
Oh,
already
yeah.
at 11 o'clock. Anyhow, I just wanted to say one thing, that it has been a great pleasure to have started this dialogue with you and with London and with the Act before, and I think that it is a great opportunity to us to continue this dialogue and to try to build something that will grow, because I believe that the more we united, the more there is the power of the numbers, the more our voice is going to have an audience. In other words, they're going to take us seriously, because right now they think that we are a bunch of lunatics that they are trying to, avoid progress. Is not true. There is no such thing out there.
I absolutely agree.
I like to conclude this conversation with you guys, by telling you that yesterday the conference was a great success.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, we had a lot of wonderful speakers, scholars, architects, very smart people who proposed some nice alternatives to what the system is asking us to do now, what the system is doing. And we may be able to come up with some solutions that are going to be adaptable to everybody and everywhere. We intend pretty soon to come up with some sort of a manifesto of things to do. We will share it with you all, and hopefully even there we will find a point of contact and a point of discussion to carry on what we have started in the past few days and what we started to celebrate today. As you've seen, we got a proclamation. Paris is in the proclamation.
Yes.
So
I thought that was wonderful, Mario. This proclamation of October 23rd as the Heritage Day or just Classical District, Historic District Day.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I would only hope that the Paris elected officials will listen to us, because you have lots of elected officials who signed the damn thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that now with this, you also are going to have more iron to add to your fire, to go back to the elected officials in Paris and say, we are not alone. The whole world is supporting Paris. Like we can say, the whole world is supporting New York. So this is one of the advantages of this conferencing and this coalition and this working together. Okay?
I think we're going to translate this, because it's all in legal jargon. Whereas this, whereas that. And we can do vu que this and vu que that. It's the same thing exists in France. We can make a manifest and say this was signed by important elected officials in New York. Why not Paris? Our bulletin is read by how many? 800 people or something? So
absolutely.
It will act as a seed.
Very good. Listen, thank you very much. I apologize that we are running because we were late. But we really appreciate your joining us. We really appreciate your help. Congratulations on your projects, and we wish you all the best.
Merci a tutti e a tous.
To be continued soon.
Ci vediamo, ci sentiamo.
A presto, assolutamente. Grazie.
A bientôt.
Bye bye.